Hello everyone, Carlos Flores, back on basics. So, before we begin, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so that you can get notified of any new video that comes on board. If you have any questions, or if you have any topics, any suggestions, put them in the comment section. That's great. Yesterday I did one on attachments, on just letting things go and moving on. So today I'm going to expand on the moving on aspect, because moving on means you're moving forward, and that's what I want to talk about. But before we do that, hit the like button. Again, the importance of moving on. That's what today's topic is. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about it. Want to connect with me, again, you are more than welcome to connect with me on Facebook, and you can just search for me, Carlos Flores Jr. You can connect with me via Instagram at Back on Basics. You can connect with me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Back on Basics. So there's a lot of things that, we've been talking about in the past 4 or 5 months. And there's so many different topics that have come up. And some of you have actually asked good questions. And I'm not saying that some people don't. I'm just saying you have asked good questions, because those have led to new topics, to new ways of thinking about it. For me, for new ways of thinking about these topics. Remember, I'm going to start with a visual, right? And I'm going to try to be as visual as possible. You start with a little pebble, right? And then you go to a snowy hill or a muddy hill or however kind of hill. So you drop that little pebble down and it starts rolling down slowly. But that snow compacts and compacts so that pebble becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, it'll have enough momentum and heading in that direction with so much force that it will be unstoppable. I want to make sure that through the compounding effect, right? It's like patting a pebble, patting it with snow, so that way it becomes bigger, so it can goes down with more force. Your momentum, as you create little victories or victories or medium-sized victories, you will get so much momentum that you will move so much forward in a lot more time, and that will create a compounding effect of itself. Moving forward means that you detach from what you were holding on. Remember, yesterday we talked about holding on about a lot of things, right? Now we're going to talk about how to move on. Moving on doesn't mean walking away. Don't get me wrong. There's a big difference between moving on and walking away. Walking away sometimes means that you're giving up. I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to walk away from something that you're connected to, for something that you're grieving about. Grieving is it takes so much out of your mind-body balance, because you're grieving because of a loss of something, and you still want to keep it with you. A loss of a loved one, a loss of a family member, a friend, a loss of a pet, a loss of jobs, a loss of income, a loss of time. There's so many things that you can possibly lose, right? Sometimes it's unfathomed. I mean, it's amazing that we're not losing and creating a negative compounding effect as well, and losing even more things. But, right, we have a lot of things that are going for us in the good way, because as soon as we, again, like yesterday, right, make a list of all the things that we're attached to, that we're holding on to, right? And then you rank them from the least, right? The least attached to the most attached, and you start working it from the least to the least to the less least, and then it goes and goes and goes. Again, the compounding effect means that you're going to get through that list as you're moving forward. Because what you're doing is you're moving forward. In other words, you're moving on. Why is it important to move on? Because again, you want to be in the present moment. Remember, I've said that many times. You want to be in the present moment because you want to make sure that your mind is sharp, your body is sharp, and you have that mind-body balance. Mind-body balance. And it's amazing because multiple victories will get you to a point where confidence just comes out. You feel confident. You feel like people are not looking at you in a weird way, or like looking down at you. You feel like you're in the ballpark. You're at the same level as some of these high performers. Again, right? That's another thing that we haven't even talked about. Perception. Perception. Because what seems bad to you may seem to somebody else. Somebody that doesn't want to eat an almost spoiled banana because it has brown spots. It does. Some people don't. And you have the right to do that. But if you get that same banana with brown spots to somebody in a third world country, a lot of the times they will not hesitate to eat it. I don't even hesitate to eat brown bananas. I mean, I've eaten bananas that are like brown. not like bad, but brown. So I usually peel it, I dice it sometimes, and I eat it either with a fork or I eat it with my hand. Believe me, I try to look at the good thing in everything. Some people may see a rotten banana or an almost rotten banana. I see food, substance. I get it. It's more concentrated sugar because the banana has gotten too close to the expiration period to eat it. You know what? There's some people in other countries that don't have anything to eat, and they would wish to have a banana like that. And that's perception. That's a way of looking at things. You have to. In order to detach and move on, you have to change the way you think. Right? You have to change the way you think. The old way of thinking didn't get you anywhere, except for stress, no sleep, no hunger, or over hunger, or many different things. Your current way of thinking is not working, then we need to change the way you think. We need to change your perception. Why do you think you attach to things? Why do you think, remember I told you, I started tearing 2 videos ago because I put on the shirt that my dad had. And as I was putting it on, I smelled his scent. And I got teary. And I said to myself, man, I wish my dad was here. And I got even more teary. But then, later on, after the video was done, and I was processing this video, I said, my mom is still here. I go visit her to see how she's doing, so that way she can see that I'm doing all right, that I'm moving forward, right? Taking steps. I want her to realize that, hey, I'm a fighter. No matter what the situation, I will adapt through and look at all of my surroundings for clues. Remember, we talked about that. 2 weeks ago. You look all around for clues because clues are everywhere of how to adapt, how to let go, how to move on. Moving on means that you're closing that door and you're leaving whatever else you're moving on behind. You're not bringing it. It's not attached to you anymore. I mean, imagine, right? Another visual. Sometimes when prisoners are able to go out, right? Are able to do work. Sometimes they have an ankle monitor that tells them where they're at. That shows. I mean, again, right? You're a prisoner. I mean, you're in jail. You're in prison. Imagine before in the olden days where they would tie you to a ball and chain. You couldn't move. You couldn't go. I mean, if you're strong enough to lift the ball and chain and run, more power to you. But you couldn't do it because you were attached to the ball and chain. Think of attachments as a ball and chain because it takes attachments. Things that you can't let go are the things that you really have to work on, and you have to do it in the present moment. Think of, how am I going to get this ball and chain off so that way I can move on? And again, it starts with perception, right? Because sometimes it's not even a ball and chain. You just think that it's a ball and chain. You just think that something is holding you back. But it's this that's holding you back. But it's this that's holding you back. You got to change your thinking. Cognitive psychology says that if you think it, you'll do it. And if you do it, you'll think it. It's simple but hard to practice. I'm telling you, I'm there with you. Because it took me a year and a half to realize that consistency, right? Exercising, consistency, consistent, and being and changing my diet will get me results. Compounding effect made it faster. Not as fast as before, because I remember I used to be a yo-yo. I went up, then I went down, then I went up, then I went down. I mean, again, I'm telling you, pre-diabetic, about a year and a half ago, I was overweight, 265. I couldn't sleep. I started snoring. I had acid reflux. I was beginning to have sleep apnea. Look at that. How the heck am I going to get past all of these things if I can't get past one? It's changing the way you think. Then you'll be able to move on. It's changing the way you think. Remember, things are not always greener on the other side. We always think, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. The grass is the same on the other side. You just have to change your way of looking at the grass. And that's just another visual. Because if you don't change the way you look at things, then you will be a prisoner in your own mind or your own body. And you don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that. I was like that for over 40 years, believe me. I was a fat kid. I'm telling you, I was a fat kid. From young, I was fat. I was chubby, and everything. And I know that built upon one or another. I mean, there were some times that I wasn't. But those are short and few throughout my life. Not until I changed the way I think. I changed the way I thought, how I thought, that I started looking at things differently. Remember the story of the guy who would be driven in his limo down the pathway through a gate of his mansion, right? And one time, he doesn't even pay attention to anything. He's more busy with his phone or talking to the driver or whatever. But one time, something happens to the car and he has to walk all the way to the gate. And guess what he does? He notices the flowers and the trees and the animals and the beauty of nature and the sunlight and everything. Why do you think every time I do a short, I'm always saying, oh, this is great weather, there's a little bit of wind, the sun is here, or the sun is here. I mean, I love it. You have to look at it from a different perspective, right? Why do we look at it from the negative perspective? That's the first thing that we get to, negative. Then we go positive. Then we go middle of the road, which is present, now, and present. And that's the best. Middle of the road is best. Nah. Too much positive, nah. Middle of the road. Present. Being in the present. Look, being in the present is this. I'm 209. Being in the present. If I was worried about the past because I worked too much or I felt like I wasn't doing the work, I will balloon up again. If in my mind I was saying I'm doing a bad job as a provider at home, with the family, with the support system, with my village, then I would balloon up. Again, I see my results. Whenever I got stressed, whenever I was depressed, whenever I was anxious, I ate and ate and ate. It wasn't good. You know what I was doing is I was masking everything. Because when you eat, what happens? Your stomach starts working. It starts processing the food. And what happens? All the attention goes to the stomach. Just for a little bit of time, your anxiety, your stress, your sadness, your depression, your PTSD, it goes away for a little bit. But guess what? It comes back. Because it's not permanent. You're not detaching. You're not moving forward. You're not moving on. So what you need to do is look at it from all the perspectives all around. Look for the clues all around you. I mean, look at this. Turn hope into action. What more do you want? Turn hope into action. I mean, this is a shirt that my son got. This is one of my son's shirts. Remember what I said last night? I'm getting to the point that I'm wearing his shirt. My son is petite. He's muscle. He has a lot of muscle, but he's petite. And I mean, he did water polo. He did running. He did track and field. He did karate. He did a lot of different things. So he has broad shoulders. But he was slim. Let's call him that. He was slim. Holy crap. So I'm wearing my slim son's shirt. That's pretty damn good, right? I'm excited. I'm elated. This is not the second shirt that I tried on. But look, it's a t-shirt. I'm wearing it. I love it. You know how much that changes my way of thinking? It gives me hope. It gives me positivity. It gives me different ways of looking at things. It brings me back to the middle of the road, the here and now, so that way I can detach and move forward. Detach and move forward. Nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent. Nothing lasts forever. We don't last forever. We have a finite amount of years that we're here on this earth. We don't know it, so we need to take advantage of it and get to know ourselves, get to know others, get to know what is it? Higher power. I'm sorry. I'm like thinking, get to know our goals and celebrate our success with our goals. I mean, finite. If for some reason I'm no longer here tomorrow, I'm not going to regret. Look at this, right? A year and a half. Solid work, solid, consistent work in the here and now. And I went from 267 to 209. I'm wearing my son's shirt. Yesterday I wore another one of my son's shirt. The day before I wore a shirt from my dad. A medium-sized shirt. I've been wearing extra large and extra large all my adult life. Yeah. Why? Because I know that things are not permanent. Things do not last forever. And again, if I'm at 267, all I have to do is take my first step. And then my next one. And then my next one. And if I can't take a full step, then I will take a half step or an eighth of a step. But I will take a step because why? Because now I'm moving forward. Moving on, I would say moving on. I wouldn't say off to the side. It's moving forward. Now you're moving forward. Now you're moving on. But it's in the here and now. You don't linger in the past. There's so many things. You know, and I'm going to be very honest with you all. I'm part of a grief group to help me process my dad's passing every Wednesday for an hour and a half. Grief group. It has helped me tremendously because I've been able to talk to people. Remember, I've been a therapist for years. I've been a life coach for years. I've been doing and teaching and practicing psychology for years. But I had to humble myself and say, look, if I wanna honor my dad, if I want to grieve my dad, I need help with some people that are neutral that will be able to give me a different perspective. So that way I can detach and move forward, right? Move forward. Nothing is permanent. That's all I need to say. But look, turn hope into action. And that's a key thing. Sometimes we do get up in the morning and say, well, I hope today's a good day. All right. Turn hope into action. I hope I pass this test. I hope I do well in my work today. Turn hope into action because action is what gets you moving forward. Believe me, action gets you moving forward. Makes you detach. Remember, sometimes we tend to hold things like as if we're not gonna let it go, like this, right? Nothing is permanent. Lost my job during COVID. Couldn't get a job during COVID. Started doing special education, which I love. I still do psychology at University of Phoenix, which I love. Nothing's permanent. It's permanent. So we have to understand that, wow, I'm at 24 minutes. I'm sorry. We have to understand that if you want to move forward, if you want to move on, you got to let go. You got to think that things are not permanent. They don't last forever. You have to have mind-body balance and your mind and body sharp and ready to go. And don't be afraid to take a half a step or take an eighth of a step if you can't take a step. Because anything is moving forward. And as long as you're compounding it, right, stacking it upon each other, you'll get to your goals. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so that way you can get notified of any new videos. This video was a little bit longer. I'm sorry. I just started talking. Turn hope into action. Till next time, back on basics.